The royal palace of the Zarthon Empire was never silent. For thousands of years, the palace halls were filled with voices, energy, and power. Alien nobles walked with pride. Guards stood tall. Machines hummed with life. Light from distant stars flowed through crystal walls. But today, the palace was quiet, too quiet. Inside the highest chamber, the alien queen stood near a glowing bed. Her tall figure looked weak for the first time in her life. Her many eyes were fixed on the small body. Lying before her, her daughter, the young princess, had not eaten for 2 weeks. Her skin, once bright and full of color, was now pale. Her breathing was slow. Each breath sounded like a fight. Strange alien. Machines were connected to her body, blinking with warning lights. Soft alarms filled the room, but no one moved. The best doctors in the empire stood in a line. They were the smartest minds from hundreds of worlds. Their tools could heal broken planets. Their science could stop dying stars, yet now they had nothing to offer. One doctor stepped forward. His voice was low and careful. "Your Majesty, we have tried everything." The queen did not speak. Another doctor continued, fear in his tone. "Her body is rejecting all forms of nourishment. No liquid, no energy feed, no synthetic life source." A heavy silence filled the chamber. The queen slowly closed her eyes. Her claws trembled. She had faced wars. She had ruled through chaos. She had destroyed enemies without mercy. But this was something she could not fight. The royal council stood behind her. Tall, powerful aliens wearing symbols of authority. One of them finally spoke. "It is time to accept the truth," the council leader said. "The child cannot be saved." The queen turned slowly. Eyes burned with pain and rage. "Say that again," she whispered. The council leader did not move. "We must prepare the empire. The people must not see weakness." The queen looked back at her daughter. The child's chest barely moved. The room felt colder. She had already given up her sleep. Her pride, her hope, was she now being asked to give up her child? In the corner of the chamber, far from the glowing bed, a human janitor quietly cleaned the floor. His name was Ethan. He wore a simple gray uniform. No symbols, no rank, no importance. His cleaning machine moved slowly across the crystal floor, making a soft sound. No one noticed him. To the aliens, humans were useful, but small. Workers, helpers, nothing more. Especially janitors. Ethan kept his head down. That was the rule. But today, his eyes lifted. He saw the princess. He saw the machines. He saw the fear in the queen's body language. He had cleaned this room many times before. He knew the smell of strong energy. He knew the sound of a healthy chamber. This was not that. The princess suddenly coughed, a weak, painful sound. The machines reacted at once. Lights flashed red. The queen rushed forward. "Help her," she shouted. The doctors moved fast. They adjusted machines. They increased energy flow. They tried again. Nothing changed. The coughing stopped. The princess went still. For a moment, everyone thought it was over. The queen let out a broken sound. Not a scream, not a cry. Something worse. The council leader lowered his head. "It is done." But then, a small movement. The princess's fingers twitched. The machines calmed slightly. "She still lives," a doctor said in shock. The queen held her breath, but the doctor's face darkened again. Only barely. The queen stepped back. Her legs shook in that moment. The strongest being in the empire looked completely helpless. Ethan watched everything. His heart beat fast. His hands stopped moving. He knew he should not look. He knew he should stay invisible. But something inside him refused. 2 weeks without food. He had heard that before, not from alien science, from Earth, from human experience, from stories of children in pain, from places where technology did not reach, from moments where comfort mattered more than machines. Ethan swallowed. Around him, the most powerful aliens in the galaxy had already decided. The child was lost. The queen had given up hope. The room was ready for death. And yet, in the shadows of the royal chamber, a human janitor took one small step forward. No one noticed. Not yet. The royal chamber slowly returned to order. But the fear never left. Doctors moved quietly. Guards stood still. The council whispered among themselves. Everyone was waiting for the same thing to end. The alien queen sat beside her daughter's bed. She did not touch the child. She was afraid even that small movement might break her. Her eyes stayed fixed on the weak rise and fall of the princess's chest. Time moved slowly in the far corner. Ethan stood with his cleaning machine. He had stopped working. His hands rested on the handle, but his mind was far away. He was not supposed to be here anymore. Most servants had already been sent out, but no one noticed him. Humans were easy to forget. Ethan looked at the princess again. 2 weeks without food, the alien doctors called it a mystery. To them, it was an impossible medical case. To Ethan, it looked different. He remembered Earth. He remembered shelters during disasters. Children who refused to eat, not because they could not, but because they were scared. Their bodies shut down. Their minds were trapped in fear. Food alone did not help them. They needed calm, warmth, a familiar voice. The princess shifted slightly. Her eyes opened for a second, then closed again. Her breathing became fast. One of the doctors spoke. Her stress levels are rising again. The queen clenched her claws, then lowered them. We cannot, the doctor replied. Her body no longer responds to our methods. The council leader stepped forward. Your Majesty, we should move her to the isolation chamber. Prepare the final ceremony. The words hit the room like a blade. The queen's head lowered. She did not answer. That silence was louder than any scream. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He knew what isolation meant. No touch, no sound, no warmth, a slow goodbye. Before he could stop himself, he took another step forward. The sound of his boot echoed softly on the floor. A guard turned. Hey, human! Ethan froze. Every eye in the room turned toward him. The council leader narrowed his eyes. Why is a janitor still here? I was cleaning, Ethan said. His voice was low, but steady. This is no place for you, the guard snapped. Leave. Ethan should have turned around. He should have walked away. But then the princess made a soft sound. A whimper. Barely alive. Ethan looked at her. Then he looked at the queen. Your Majesty, he said. Gasps filled the chamber. No human ever spoke directly to the queen. The guards moved at once. Weapons ready. Stop, the queen said quietly. The room froze. She turned to Ethan. Her eyes were red. Not with anger, but with pain. What do you want, human? Ethan swallowed hard. His hands shook, but he forced himself to speak. I think the problem is not the food, he said. The doctors reacted at once. That is impossible. We have scanned every system, another said. You know nothing of alien biology. Ethan nodded. That may be true, but I know fear. The council leader laughed coldly. Fear. We rule galaxies. Ethan did not answer him, kept his eyes on the queen. On my world, Ethan continued, when children stop eating, it is sometimes because they feel unsafe. Their body gives up before their mind does. Silence returned. The queen leaned forward slightly. Are you saying my daughter is afraid? Ethan nodded. Yes, and she has been afraid for a long time. The doctors exchanged looks. She has been surrounded by care. By machines, Ethan said softly. By strangers, by pain. One doctor scoffed. And what would you suggest? Holding her hand. Ethan hesitated. Then he said the truth. Yes. The council leader stepped forward in anger. Enough. This is madness. Remove him. The guards moved again. The queen raised her claw. Wait. She stood slowly. Her voice was weak, but firm. You say you know fear, she said to Ethan. What else do you know, human? Ethan took a breath. I know that when hope is gone, sometimes a simple thing can bring it back. The queen looked at her daughter, then back at the human. Janitor, she had trusted science, power, control. All had failed. She closed her eyes. Give him one chance, she said. If he is wrong, remove him. The guards stopped. The council leader stared in shock. Your Majesty, I have already lost everything, the queen whispered. What more can I lose? Ethan's heart pounded. He had been invisible. His whole life. Now, the fate of an empire rested on him, and he had not even begun. The royal chamber felt different now, not quieter, but heavier. Every eye was on the human. Ethan stood alone in the center of the room. Guards formed a half-circle around him. Their weapons were not aimed yet, but their fingers rested close to the trigger. One wrong move, one wrong word. The alien queen sat beside her daughter. She looked older than before. Her strength was still there, but it was cracking. You have one chance, the queen said. Explain what you will do. Ethan nodded. His mouth felt dry. I will not use your machines, he said. A sharp reaction spread across the room. What? A doctor snapped. Our technology is the only thing keeping her alive. Another said. Ethan kept his voice calm. Your machines keep her body running, but they do not help her want to live. The council leader stepped forward. Nonsense. You risk the life of the future ruler. Ethan looked at the princess. Her breathing was shallow. Her face showed no peace. She is already dying, he said, quietly. That stopped them. The queen raised her claw. Continue. Ethan took a step closer to the bed. The guards tensed. I need the machines lowered, he said. Not removed. Just quiet. The doctors reacted in shock. That could kill her. It could also help her, Ethan replied. The queen studied him. Why should I trust you? Ethan hesitated. Then he spoke from the heart. Because I am not here for power. I clean your floors. If I wanted status, I would have stayed silent. The queen said nothing. Slowly, she nodded to the doctors. Lower. The output, slightly. The doctors obeyed, shaking with fear. The room lights dimmed. The sharp noise of the machines softened. The princess stirred. A soft sound escaped her lips. Not pain, confusion. Ethan exhaled. He moved closer, slowly, so he did not scare her. He sat on the floor beside the bed, not above her. Not in control, just. There the guards watched closely. One wrong touch, and they would end him. Ethan spoke softly. I know you don't understand me, he said. But you are not alone. The princess's eyes opened. Just a little. The doctors leaned forward. Impossible. Her gaze moved, unfocused, until it found Ethan. Her breathing slowed. The queen's claws trembled. Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cloth. It was old, human-made. He placed it near the princess's hand, not touching her. Warm, familiar, the council leader sneered. This is foolish. Ethan ignored him. On Earth, small things mattered. The princess's fingers twitched. Then, Wrapped weakly around the cloth, the machines reacted at once. Vital signs shifted. Her stress is decreasing. A doctor whispered, "No one breathe." Ethan did not smile. He stayed calm. "She needs time," he said. "And she needs choice." "Choice?" the Queen repeated. "Yes," Ethan said. "She has been forced to survive. Let her decide to live." The council leader lost patience. "This has gone too far. End this now." The guards raised their weapons. The Queen stood. "Enough," she said, her voice sharp as steel. "Stand down." The guards froze. The Queen stepped closer to her daughter. She watched as the child held the cloth. For the first time in days. The princess did not look like she was running away. The Queen turned to Ethan. "If she worsens, you will pay with your life." Ethan nodded. "I understand." Minutes passed, then something happened. The princess made a soft sound again. Not pain, hunger. The doctors stared at the readings. She is signaling need." The room exploded into noise. "How? This is not possible." The Queen fell to her knees beside the bed. Tears streamed down her face. Ethan stayed still. He knew this moment. On Earth, it was called the turning point. The council leader backed away slowly. Fear replaced anger. The Queen looked at Ethan with new eyes. "You risked everything," she said. "Why?" Ethan answered honestly. "Because sometimes being small means you notice things others miss." The princess tightened her grip on the cloth. The machines confirmed it. She was still weak, but she was no longer giving up. And in that moment, the galaxy changed. The royal chamber no longer felt like a place of death. It felt uncertain. The machines still glowed beside the princess, but they no longer ruled the room. Their lights were dimmer now, quieter, almost respectful. Doctors stood back, watching in silence. No one argued. No one laughed. Everyone waited. Ethan remained seated on the floor beside the bed. He had not moved for a long time. His legs were numb, but he did not care. He kept his voice low and steady. "You're doing well," he said softly. "You don't have to rush." The princess's eyes stayed open. Not wide, not afraid. Just aware. That alone shocked the doctors. "She should not be this calm," one whispered. The Queen heard it. She did not reply. Her attention was on her daughter, on the slow rise of her chest, on the small cloth still held in her hand. Ethan reached into a small pack at his side. It was allowed only because no one expected a janitor to carry anything dangerous. He took out a simple container. Food, not alien food. Not medical fluid, human food. The smell was soft, warm, and gentle. The doctors stepped forward in alarm. "Stop. That substance has not been tested." Ethan paused. He did not look at them. "It is not for her body yet," he said. "It is for her mind." The Queen raised her claw. The doctors stopped. Ethan opened the container slightly, letting the smell spread. The princess's nose moved. Her eyes focused. Another reading changed on the machine. "She is responding," a doctor said, stunned. Ethan smiled faintly, but only for a moment. He dipped his finger lightly into the food, then wiped most of it away. He did not feed her. He did not touch her mouth. He simply placed his finger near her hand. A choice. The princess's fingers twitched again. Slowly, carefully, she moved her hand toward the smell, toward the warmth, toward something that did not demand, did not force. She touched his finger. The Queen covered her mouth. Ethan stayed still. His heart raced, but his body did not move. "Take your time," he whispered. The princess brought her finger closer to her lips. Just a taste. The machines reacted at once. Her body accepted it. A doctor shouted. "But how?" Another. Ask. Ethan answered calmly, because she was ready. The council leader watched from a distance. His confidence was gone. His voice was quiet. This breaks every rule we know. Ethan looked up. On my world, rules break when life is on the line. The princess swallowed. Once, then again. Her breathing became stronger. The queen stepped closer, unable to stop herself. Is she eating? Ethan nodded. Yes, on her own terms. Tears fell freely down the queen's face. She did not wipe them away. For the first time since the nightmare began, hope filled the room. Minutes passed. Then more. The princess did not eat much. She did not need to. She needed to remember how. Ethan closed the container and set it aside. That is enough for now, the doctors protested. She could take more. Ethan shook his head. Yet. Trust her. The queen did not hesitate. Do as he says. The doctors obeyed. The princess leaned back, tired but calm. Her eyes remained open. She looked at her mother. The queen took her hand. The princess squeezed back. A sound escaped the queen's throat, a laugh mixed with a cry. Ethan stood slowly. His legs shook now, the fear finally catching up to him. The council leader approached. Human, what you are doing should not work. Ethan met his gaze. But it does. Silence followed. The queen turned to Ethan. Her voice was steady, but full of emotion. You saved her. Ethan shook his head. No, she saved herself. I just listened. The queen straightened. Her posture returned. Not as a ruler, but as a mother who had hope again. Stay, she ordered. You will not leave her side. The guards stepped back. For the first time. They did not see a janitor. They saw a protector. The princess closed her eyes. Not from weakness, from peace, and deep within the palace, something ancient shifted. The belief that humans were small. That belief was breaking. The change did not come fast. It came quietly. The princess slept for many hours. Not the restless sleep of pain, but deep and steady. The machines showed numbers no one expected to see. Her breathing was smooth. Her heartbeat was strong enough to surprise even the oldest doctors. The royal chamber stayed sealed. No one was allowed inside except the queen, Ethan, and a few silent guards. Outside, rumors spread through the palace. Some said the child was already gone. Some said the queen had lost her mind and trusted a human worker. Others waited for proof. Inside the chamber, Ethan sat near the bed, watching. He did not speak unless needed. He did not move unless the princess stirred. When she finally opened her eyes, the queen was there. Mother, the princess whispered. The word broke something inside the queen. She fell to her knees beside the bed, holding her daughter's hands. Tears fell freely now. No one dared to look away. The doctors rushed forward. Her voice, it is stronger. One checked the readings. His eyes widened. Her systems are stabilizing. This should not be possible. Ethan stood slowly. His body was tired, but his eyes were calm. She needs water now, he said. Just a little. Taf Camus. The doctors hesitated. The queen did not. Do it. A small amount was prepared. No machines forced it. No tubes. Just a careful offering the princess drank. Not much, but enough. The room filled with quiet shock. The council leader arrived moments later, pushing past guards. I demand answers. He stopped when he saw the princess sitting up. A live color had returned to her skin, not fully but clearly. The council leader stepped back. This is a trick. Ethan spoke before the queen could. No, this is choice. The doctor surrounded the bed, scanning again and again. "It is real," one whispered. "Her body has accepted nourishment." "Fully," another added. "Her internal systems are repairing." The Queen looked at Ethan with disbelief. "How?" Ethan answered simply. "She stopped fighting herself." The council leader shook his head. "Our science failed. A human janitor succeeded. This will change everything." The Queen turned sharply. "It already has." The princess looked at Ethan. "You stayed," she said softly. "Yes," Ethan replied. "That's what humans do." She smiled. A real smile. That moment spread through the palace like fire. The news escaped the chamber. Guards whispered. Servants listened. Soon the entire empire knew. The Queen's daughter lived, and a human saved her. The council demanded explanations. The scientists argued. Records were checked. Nothing made sense. No advanced device had healed her. No rare energy source had saved her. Only time. Only kindness. Only patience. Ethan stood before the council later that day. He wore the same simple uniform. No upgrades. No symbols. "You should be rewarded," one council member said. "Power, land, status." Ethan shook his head. "I did what anyone should do." The council leader narrowed his eyes. "You changed the fate of the empire." Ethan replied, "I helped a child eat." The Queen entered then, holding her daughter's hand. All stood. The princess walked slowly. But she walked. The Queen faced the council. "You were ready to give up. He was not." Silence followed. She turned to Ethan. "You will no longer clean floors." Ethan blinked. "Then who will?" A small laugh escaped the princess. The Queen smiled. "You will stand beside us." It's a human voice. Ethan hesitated. "I don't belong here." The Queen knelt to his level. "You belong where hope is needed." The impossible had happened. Not because of power, but because someone small refused to leave, and across the galaxy, a truth was spreading. Humans were not weak. They were different. The palace did not return to normal. It could not. Something too important had changed. For the first time in many cycles, humans were no longer invisible inside the Zarthon Empire. Guards no longer ignored them. Servants whispered with curiosity instead of mockery. Even the highest officials watched them with new eyes. At the center of it all stood Ethan. He still wore his gray uniform. He had not asked for a new one. The alien queen ordered a full gathering of the royal council. News of the princess's recovery had reached every world under Zarthon control. Some celebrated, some doubted. Many demanded answers. The Grand Council Hall filled with light and sound. Leaders from distant systems appeared as glowing figures. Their voices overlapped with anger and fear. "This changes our structure," one shouted. "A human cannot hold influence," said another. "Our science has been insulted," a third added. The Queen listened in silence. Beside her stood the princess, stronger now, holding her mother's hand. And beside them, at a respectful distance, stood Ethan. A council leader pointed at him. This being broke protocol and endangered royal life. Ethan did not speak. The Queen did. "He saved my child." The hall fell quiet. "You judged him by his role," the Queen continued, "not by his heart." A scientist stepped forward. "Our records show no known medical explanation for the recovery." Ethan finally spoke. "Then your records are incomplete." Some laughed nervously. The Queen raised her claw. "Humans see differently. They listen where we command." The princess stepped forward. Her voice was still soft but steady. He stayed when everyone else left. That ended the argument. No council member dared to speak. Against the living proof standing before them, the Queen turned to Ethan. "You will be offered a position of honor." Ethan's chest tightened. "Your Majesty, I don't want power. Hey." Ripple of confusion moved through the hall. "You may choose anything," the Queen said. "We owe you," Ethan thought for a moment. Then he spoke carefully. "Treat humans as equals," he said, "not tools." The words struck deeper than any weapon. The council murmured. "That is a lodge demand," one said. Ethan nodded. "So, is saving a child." The Queen straightened. "Then it will be done." The decision spread fast. Humans were given voice, protection, and respect across the empire. No longer hidden, no longer silent. Ethan returned to the chamber later that day. The princess was practicing walking again. She smiled when she saw him. "Are you leaving?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "No, I think I'm staying." She nodded, satisfied. The Queen watched them from a distance. For the first time, she understood something her empire never had. Strength did not always roar. Sometimes it stayed quiet and refused to quit. That night, the Queen stood before the stars. She thought of all the worlds she ruled, all the species she had judged. She had been wrong. Ethan joined her, careful not to overstep. "You changed us," said. Ethan replied, "You just hadn't looked before." The Queen gave a small smile. "What will you do now, human?" Ethan looked at the palace, the guards, the servants, the princess, laughing. "I'll keep doing what I do," he said, "helping where I can." The Queen nodded. "Then the empire will be stronger than ever." Across the galaxy, records were rewritten, history adjusted, not with war, not with blood, but with compassion. Humans were no longer the lowest workers. They were partners, and it all began because one janitor refused to walk away. Time passed, not much, but enough for change to settle. The alien princess now walked freely through the palace gardens. Light touched her skin again. Her laughter echoed between crystal towers, and every sound of it reminded the empire how close they had come to losing her. Ethan often walked a few steps behind her and the Queen, not as a guard, not as a servant, as family. The empire had adjusted, but not without struggle. Some aliens still doubted humans. Some whispered that the Queen had gone soft. Others feared change. But no one could deny the truth. Standing before them, the child lived. One evening, the Queen called for a gathering, not a council, not a command. A story, aliens, humans, and other species filled the open hall. There were no ranks that night, no symbols of power, just beings listening. The Queen stepped forward. "There was a time," she said, "when we believed strength meant control." She looked at her daughter, "And we were wrong." The princess walked forward, holding Ethan's hand. The hall grew silent. "He stayed," the princess said, "when everyone else gave up." That simple sentence carried more weight than any speech. The Queen continued. "We judged by titles. We measured worth by status. A janitor was invisible to us." She turned to Ethan. "And yet, he saw what we could not." Ethan felt uncomfortable. He lowered his head. The Queen raised her voice so all could hear. "Let this be remembered. The empire stands today because one human refused to accept loss." The hall erupted not with noise, but with understanding. From that day, humans were written into the empire's history, not as workers, not as tools, but as allies. Ethan returned to his simple work. He refused grand rooms. He refused medals. He helped where he was needed. Sometimes that meant listening. Sometimes it meant staying quiet. Sometimes it meant sitting beside someone who felt afraid. The princess visited him often. She asked questions. She learned about Earth, about simple food, about human stories. "You saved me," she said once. Ethan shook his head. "No, you chose to live." The Queen watched them from afar. She understood now. Human strength did not demand praise. It waited years later. A new threat reached the empire's borders. A hostile force sent warnings. Fear spread quickly. The council gathered, ready for war. Ethan was invited. "What should we do?" the leader asked. Ethan answered calmly. "Listen first." They did. The threat faded. War was avoided. Once again, the human way worked. Across the galaxy, the story spread. It changed with every telling, but the core stayed the same. A child, a mother, a janitor, not a hero with weapons. A hero with patience. The queen, now older, stood one last time in the royal chamber. She placed a small marker beside the princess's bed. Not a statue, not a monument, just words. Here, hope returned. Ethan stood beside her. "Will they remember?" he asked. The queen smiled softly. "They already are." The princess looked up at the stars. "What will they call you?" Ethan thought for a moment. "Nothing special," he said. "Just human." And somehow, that became the greatest title of all.